I would like to share something with you today. I would like to share a secret. Are you ready for my secret? I am a world traveler. Yes, that is my secret. I am a world traveler in the most unusual ways. I was born a Palestinian, destined to live in Gaza, surrounded with political, religious, demographic, you name it, conflicts. Growing up, I was so fascinated with the various human cultures, languages, and arts. When I was 11 years old, I was so attached to my history books, reading about outstanding discoveries and trips, moving on from one page to another, bright big maps and stories about the characters that helped shape the world that we know today. One person caught the attention of my young heart. Ibn Battuta, his name was, one of the greatest world travelers of all time. Reading his journey from the Horn of Africa to East Asia and to Europe, describing the magnificent sights and people he met during his journey, something sparked in my young soul. Fireworks of excitement dancing around my jumping heart. I want to be a world traveler, I said to myself. I want to be a global citizen. Starting out my journey, my beginning was destined to be with the YES program. A 15-year-old boy on a plane heading for my host family city in Indiana. I was reading some pages of a Quran to help me relax. A Quran that my mother gave me before I left for the US. She was so worried I will transform into this crazy perverted American, so she gave me a Quran. And as I was reading the verses, I found a verse that talked about Judgment Day and how people on Judgment Day are holding their books that contained what they did with their lives. I don't know why people, when reading or teaching that verse, they make it sound so scary. At that particular moment, I found it to be empowering. I realized that I am writing a book. I'm writing my own special novel. And I can decide what goes into this novel and what doesn't. Having realized the power that I have to shape my own life, I moved on to begin my new chapter. And as in every book, my book is not merely a product of coincidence. It's a sequence of events and influences that started with the past and a story of my grandmother. My grandmother Amira, she was a recently widowed woman with 4 young daughters and 2 sons in 1967. Her 2 sons, one was studying engineering in Egypt and one was fighting the Israeli occupation with freedom fighters. After the 1967 war, she got disconnected with her 2 sons. Unfortunately, back then, women were very weak and they had to have a male person in their life to support them. She, living in a refugee camp, not having a male person to support her, she felt weak. She felt that she didn't have anybody to lean on and call for help. People around her started to convince her, Amira, you should remarry. You should remarry to have a person in your life to support you and support the ones you care for. Having taken all that in, she started to think. And then she said to herself, I am Amira, the daughter of Hassan Wadi from Beit Daras, which was the village she lived in before Al-Nakba. I will not let unfavorable circumstances force me to do anything I don't want to do. I shall be strong for myself and for the ones I love. I shall take care of them. And as a phoenix, she broke through the ashes and the challenges that surrounded her. And she found her personal power. She used it and she passed it on, impacting the lives of her daughters, sons, and grandchildren. Dr. Maryam, my mother, she's not so different from the stories I heard about my grandmother. She continues to work so hard to support us, despite the challenges that surround her. She was able to get 5 of her children into medical school, 1 daughter into architecture school, and one of her daughters she encouraged so much to pursue a job that residents of Gaza would seem to be unfavorable for a female, a media reporter, and now she's a news anchor in Dubai. Personal power, compassion, and my book. These all fit together and complement each other to create and nourish the person I am today. Do you remember I told you that I'm a world traveler? Have you wondered about how I became to be one? How I have that list of countries and places I want to visit before I'm 30? How I constantly stare at the world map picture beside my bed before I fall asleep? How I visualize myself taking a selfie with the London Tower, complaining and enjoying the humid weather of the tropical areas, bungee jumping off the Golden Gate, and taking a ride in a helicopter around Tokyo. This is the second time I am involved in an event with Tunisia. The first time was with IFMSA. It's an international organization for medical students. I registered for the event and I got accepted. And I was part of the 5 medical students from Gaza that was supposed to be in the Palestinian delegation. The Egyptian border, which is one of the 2 points that link residents in Gaza with the outside world, was closed at that time, and unfortunately, it is still closed. So our only chance of making it to Tunisia was through the Israeli border. We had to apply for the Tunisian visa, which takes about 3 to 4 weeks, as they told us, but apparently much more. Then we had to take a copy of that and apply for a Jordanian permit, which takes 2 to 3 weeks. After having acquired both visas, we take 2 copies and apply for an Israeli permit. If we were lucky, we would have the Israeli permit by 1 month. It seemed like mission impossible. So the Gaza delegates withdrew the registration. They said, we're not ready to get ourselves into this much of stress and paying so much money on something that is not yet certain. And with their vote, my chance of going to Tunisia, my chance of scratching Tunisia out of the list of countries I want to visit before I'm 30, went away. I was so angry. I was so frustrated. I couldn't see how I'm going to fulfill my true life calling of becoming a world traveler if I can't even leave the 360 square kilometer of prison. And in that evening, when I went home, I stumbled upon something the spiritual leader Buddha said once. Holding on to anger is like grasping a hot coal with the intent of throwing at someone else. You are the one who's getting burned in the process. I decided I don't want to be angry, and surely I don't want to be burned. I will use that energy that I have to do something positive, something productive. And I said to myself, Mohammed, you're a global citizen, you will have another chance to go to Tunisia. And surely I did, I wasn't wrong. A year after, the YESTalks were out, I applied and I got accepted. I applied for the visa and went through the whole process again. But unfortunately, my approval, my permission to leave didn't arrive in time. I know for certain that I will have a third chance, and I'm not giving up because I am a world traveler. Last summer, I was so happy that I finished my 4th year of medical school. Them finals were so tough. I had so many ideas I wanted to do with my summer. Then, the 3rd Israeli aggression that I experienced in my 23-year of life happened. 50 days of terror and war. Each day went by, I would think that is my last day. And I keep thinking about that book. Keep thinking, it's not ready yet. This is not enough to finish my novel, my special novel. Then I decided I shall survive, and my survival shan't be selfish. I will help my family survive. And after all of this is over, I will help them recover. With the all man-made borders and conflicts I experience on a daily basis, with all this punishment for something I did not choose. I did not choose to be a Palestinian. I did not even choose my own government. So why are you punishing me? I have realized that no man shall put borders on my imagination. No man shall put borders on my dreams and creativity. No human can take away from me the power that I have to live my own life the way I want it to live. You don't need permission to be joyful or loving or compassionate. You don't need permission to be powerful or a global citizen. You only need you. People face challenges all the time. Yes, they do. It's part of life. But these unfavorable circumstances should not weigh you down. I'll tell you what to do with these circumstances. You should look them straight in the eye and you just say, hey, you want a piece of this? You should use them. Use that energy. Transform that energy to build up your own. And then pump all that adrenaline in your veins and arteries, and you will finally overcome them. And in the process of overcoming them, you will build your uniqueness, your strength, and your personal power to stand out as a human. I am a 23-year-old Palestinian man stuck in Gaza, in need of complicated permissions and approvals to leave. But I do not need anyone's permissions to be me. I do not need anyone's permission to be a global citizen. And I do not need anyone's permission to be a world traveler. I am a world traveler, and I am a global citizen. Thank you.